at least when you graduated, how did you go about even landing your first role? Because I feel that first role is a lot pretty hard as a student. So did you have like internships during your university?
Yes, so I did have internships. You mentioned Unilever at the start. My
Yeah.
exposure to or experience at Unilever is of internships, right? I remember as a sophomore, in my sophomore year, I did get an internship at Unilever, did well enough to be offered because I wasn't graduating that end of that year, right? So I had another couple of years to go. And I still remember the HR director at the time, he's passed away, but he offered me a second internship based on the final presentation that I gave on my first one. I knew that in my junior year, again, I had Unilever locked in as my final internship that I'm going to do in my university years. So I went to Unilever again. So I ended up having two internships in my university years at Unilever. And in my mind, that was almost a shot for me to land a job there. And it so happened that when the time came for me to graduate and get a job, I went through the Unilever process and I failed to make it through. And that was a bit of a dent, right? Because I had always expected, given that I've run two internships, had good
Yeah.
reviews, the HR director is someone who is obviously appreciative of my work, is offering me another internship. Mentally, I thought it was almost a given that I'm going to end
Yeah.
up working there. And it didn't happen. Such was luck. But I remember at the time, I was in final year of LUMS. A lot of these companies come in, set up booths, have a career fair, and as is the case with most universities. Pakistan Tobacco Company had come and done that. They had a competition which was called like Battle of Minds or something like that. They had a booth set up for interested candidates, but it was only for MBA students.
Okay.
And I was not an MBA student. And I remember I was roaming the halls of LUMS with resumes in my hand, handing it over to all the different companies who would be hiring undergraduate students. And I had an extra one in my hand, and I came across PTC, and I knew that they were only hiring MBAs. And I went up, I spoke to one of the recruiters there or the HR professional. I said, look, I've got a resume. Why don't you just keep it and let me know if something opens up for undergraduate students? And that was it. I gave my resume, and as luck would have it, they actually called me up for their assessment center and the interview process. And I became probably either the only or one of two undergraduates that got hired as a management trainee at Pakistan Tobacco. Everybody else was an MBA student, either from NUST or LUMS or IBA and so on and so forth. So that was my breakthrough into the professional world.
I would assume it was pretty like taking that initiative. Like a lot of students, they have that struggle or that fear that, oh, we get a rejection, and being able to take that despite the opportunity not actually specifically being for like undergrad students. So how did you get that mindset in terms of just giving it a shot and going from there? Like what stopped you from, or what got you over in terms of just, okay, if I get rejected,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
it's a great question. Look, I think at the heart of it, I did feel that whether you're an MBA student or an undergrad student, you can do the job, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's being offered to a fresh graduate, irrespective of what degree they hold, right? As long as it's like not a specialized technical job that needs to be done. There was a sentiment in me that, look, if you're coming in for recruiting, it shouldn't really matter whether you're an MBA or a bachelor's if you're coming in for a relatively entry-level position. So that was one. The second is, I think I mentioned I had done my Unilever internship as a sophomore student. And that was also unique because Unilever used to come in for getting interns for their third year, right? So third year students do internships, and then the following year they graduate and get a job offer. And I had success where similarly, Unilever had come in. They hadn't come in specifically for a particular year of students, but most likely they were going to get students for third year, and had success getting an internship as a second year sophomore student at LUMS. So I built that confidence from having achieved that once to then not really care about whether a company is coming in for a MBA, bachelor's, PhD, whatnot. Like I will go and give my resume, and if it happens, doesn't happen, not the end of the world.